Hello and welcome to 268 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I want to sing the praises. I want to talk a little bit of business here. That I'm a huge fan of ESPN Plus,
Okay.
and just the options that I have. Like yesterday, I wanted to watch women's softball, and I probably had 10 games I could pick from. And then there's Major League Baseball games on it now. There's different golf, and so I watched golf one day. I watched Tiger, Rory, and Jordan Spieth, which was a pretty amazing threesome, right?
Yeah.
And ESPN Plus gives you the option of watching those three for 18 holes.
See, that's where you expect things to go with the streaming, is like very specific.
Yes.
Customization. Like I've been begging for my Homer packages from DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket. Yeah. I want my Steeler pregame show.
It's logical.
Yeah.
It's logical. You know, you pay a fee, you pay a subscription fee, and then the menu comes up and you pick what you want.
Yeah. And I want the Steeler post-game show. I mean, I can watch it on YouTube, but I want it all in one place.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I really enjoy it. It's good quality. You know, what you lose is, since you're probably getting like broadcaster number 15 and 16, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing you get. But that, it's okay. I mean, I'm getting to see the game I want to see when I want to see it. And I think about it paying $9.99 a month for ESPN for Apple TV. It's because it's part of Apple TV.
You get the service. Well, it's Disney, ESPN, Hulu is a bundle. I know that.
Well, I have Apple TV, and in my Apple TV, ESPN Plus is an option in my Apple TV.
Right.
But I know I pay another fee for it. But I'm telling you, it's tremendous. I love it.
Well, I've been tempted once because I bought 3 years of Disney Plus at a really reduced rate before Disney Plus came out, and that doesn't end for a while. I need to watch my Simpsons, and I have Hulu already, so there hasn't been an option for me to bundle them all together without, sacrificing one of the things I already paid for. But I've been tempted to do the trilogy bundle to get some more ESPN.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it had so many options, and the other day the Power Game was only on Apple TV on Friday night. They have a Friday night series.
And I know.
So, I mean, we're evolving. They're trying to figure out what our streaming packages are going to look like. But at the same time, Disney's making a boatload of money on the cable bundle that has ESPN in it too. They make more money on that than they do on streaming.
Yeah.
But eventually, the streaming thing is going to win out because unless they screw it up. We're talking about our entertainment, but let's work our entertainment moment into this. Bosch Legacy is on, I forget what it's called, free something or other.
What's on Amazon Prime, right?
It's part of Netflix, I think.
Oh, I thought Bosch.
It's part of Prime. Prime, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
But it has commercials.
Oh.
Yes, I was very surprised. I didn't know that. So that's how they did this one. And, I could see that becoming a very popular subscription model.
Well, Netflix is adding a commercial tier.
Yes, and you see you'll pay a higher fee to have no commercials and a lower fee to have commercials, right?
And I paid the cheaper version on Hulu. But I think the clever thing or evil thing, depending on how you look at it, that Hulu likes to do is they make sure that while you're getting the ad, you get the exact same ad no matter what you're watching every single time. I only get ads for The Real, which is a service where you can buy used designer clothing, which I have no interest in. And, I mean, good for people that enjoy that. I like plenty of stupid things, but that's the only commercial they show me constantly. I think they're trying to drive me up to the other price by showing me the same commercial over and over again in an attempt to make me go insane. It's a smart business strategy.
Yeah. Well,
and back to you.
Since we're talking about this streaming and everything, if you like Bosch, you like Michael Connelly, Bosch Legacy is outstanding. Really, really well done. And there are, I think, 8 episodes available so far out of the 10. And we've watched 6. We'll probably watch the other 2 tonight. There's 3 storylines that are all outstanding. The acting is great. The character development is great. The plot lines are great. I mean, it's good. It's great entertainment.
And going back to your earlier thing, I know this is probably Definitely, probably not. Just watching what Tom Brady got paid to be a future announcer, and watching some of the announcer salaries. I feel like if you were if you were giving me your little surveys you used to do, and I was to rank, what gives me the most enjoyment of games, I would put the announcers at like 10 out of 10. I just don't care. Like, I just don't think any of them are that good that they make the game better for me. I mean, I do love the
I agree with
halftime.
you on making it better, but some of them make it worse.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't, like, considering how much they're paying, it doesn't move them. I'm not going to watch a game because, like, in the announcers.
No.
And
I mean, I think Tony Romo's good, but
yeah,
if there's somebody else on, it doesn't bother me. I don't say, oh, I wish it was Tony Romo.
no. I mean, all I ever get annoyed by as a Steeler fan, and this can be our Steeler moment since we don't really have a Steeler moment this week, is for the last decade of people being like, well, the Steelers, they just want to run the football. And I'm like, that's such lazy an analyst. Like,
Yeah.
but even that's, like I said, even some of the high end guys are still that lazy. So it's like, I just,
I've watched the telecast with the Mannings.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I won't watch it for a long period of time because it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because they seem like they're just trying to fill too many things.
And while I definitely think, obviously I was anti Drew Brees as an announcer, and he's already washed out because, again, he's milquetoast at his most exciting moment. I don't think Tom Brady's going to be very good.
No, I don't either. I mean, he's not a great personality. Romo is good.
Yeah.
And I enjoy Romo. So I'll say that. I think his analysis is really good.
Like, there's certain guys you can see. Like, Draymond Green seems like he's going to be excellent whenever he goes to do whatever he's going to do. Maybe he'll take over for Barkley on TNT when Barkley turns 61 and says he's going to retire. Don't know if he will or not, but that's what he's claiming in 2 years. But, like, it seems like there's obvious guys that you listen to them in interviews and you're like, that guy's going to be great on TV. Yeah. And then you watch, network announcers and they're like, oh, Drew Brees. And I'm like, have you not watched Drew Brees? Like, for as great as he is as an NFL player, like, he might be one of the most boring party guests you could ever have. He just seems so just milquetoast and bland. Like, I don't know why he got money is insane.
Wow, so milquetoast and bland. So did you see any of the clips with Pat Beverly this week?
Definitely not milquetoast.
Definitely not milquetoast.
He was scorched earth. Yeah. I mean, he's got a very personal beef against Chris Paul.
Yes, he does.
Like a long documented personal beef against Chris Paul. But being like, if I'm playing Steph, I'm in bed at 8. I'm studying film. I'm ready to go. He's like, Chris Paul, I'm going to the club.
Yeah, I mean, he was brutal. And a lot of people came to Chris Paul's defense.
But you know who didn't come to Chris Paul's defense? Chris Paul.
Yeah.
As he stunk it up for 5 straight games. And watched his team blow a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. And I'm glad he didn't. I mean, you didn't pick your spot. You had, you just got to let it go and just hope it goes through the thing. Well, now that we're talking about NBA, let's talk about NBA.
Yeah.
The resurgent Golden State Warriors, all healthy and all back together, look very, very impressive.
They look fantastic. And they are such a deep, we talked about it offline, they're a very deep team.
Very deep team. And I was watching the other night, and I turned it on. I think they were down 14 or 15. And they had their shock troops, and it was Poole and 4 other subs. And they just ran through Dallas like a hot knife through butter. I mean, they were just going crazy and brought them all the way back. And then when Steph and everybody came back in, they just finished them off. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah. Well, they have more scorers than any team in the NBA, and definitely anybody in the playoffs. Yeah. And in a league that's clearly designed around offense, I mean, that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, and you're playing against a team with limited scores.
Yeah. You really have Luka, and then you hope from time to time you have either Brunson or Dinwiddie, but you saw that last game, like, you got good performances. Luka had a pretty decent Luka game, and it just wasn't enough.
No. And, they really exposed Phoenix by not having any real consistent 3-point shooters.
No.
Or any outside threat. They have mid-range jumpers and layups. And, it's like fighting with a pea shooter. You're not going to win that game. So I'll be curious to see how Phoenix restocks. And so on that note, I was at Game 7, and I've never seen a worse basketball game in my life. They were down 10 before I could blink. They were down 20. almost absurdly too early to be down 20. But the Celtics have been down like 18 or 19 that same day, so I'm saying, okay, they'll come back. Then all of a sudden they're down 30.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden in the second half they're down 40. 40.
At home.
40 points in a game 7 on your home court.
And you were the number 1 seed and you won 10 more games than everybody else in the NBA.
Yes. And I've never seen so many missed shots in my life.
No.
And missed shots. I mean, last night the Celtics lost because they had 20-some turnovers.
Yeah.
And that's but the Suns didn't have 20-some turnovers.
No.
They just couldn't make a shot.
No.
So it's interesting to be in the market the next day. And one of the stories in the paper was back to the draft when they chose Ayton over
Luka.
And at the time, Phoenix had hired Luka's Serbian national coach. So
I know.
He was on the staff.
Well,
And I think and so the story is that he got overruled by the owner because the owner wanted a local story that he thought would help sell more tickets.
yeah.
So how'd that work out?
Exactly.
Who would sell more tickets, DeAndre Ayton or Luka?
And you know what it sounded like? It sounded like the Portland Trail, not to compare Luka to Michael Jordan, but it sounded like, Portland's like, they already had Booker. We don't need Luka. We need a big to go with him. And it's like, that's why we're not going to draft Jordan because we already have Drexler, we already have a 2. And it's like, nope, take the best player. It's not rocket science.
You figure it out.
Ryan Russillo was, because he's a big Chris Paul fan, and he was talking about right now we have 3 stars that everybody likes to trash for their failures in the playoffs, and that's James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Chris Paul. But how each of those 3 guys, it's a very different, like Harden seems to shy away and shrink in the big moments. Russell Westbrook just seems to be insane and just making stupid play after stupid play or trying to be hero ball. And then Chris Paul just seems to break down physically and mentally and just can't seem to get it, over that hump. But, that's 3 of the biggest stars of the last 20 years, and they just all come up short.
Well, we know we love Russ. And Russ seems to be like he's in Star Wars and they press that hyperspace button.
Exactly.
And his hyperspace button is not as good as his regular button.
No.
He gets out of control and he's faster than the game, and it shows. He's faster than the game, and he's very erratic then.
And
you can't be faster than the game because nobody else can keep up with your pace.
No.
So you're throwing passes to people that aren't there, and you're taking shots before people are ready. Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty good assessment, those 3. I like that.
And I wouldn't, and again, this is not meant as any sort of insult to Russell Westbrook, the person, but I don't think anybody would accuse Russell Westbrook of having the highest basketball IQ. From an NBA talent standpoint. Like it seems like there's things he misses, especially defensively, because it's not an effort on his part. Like he's trying on defense. It just seems like he's always in the wrong place, the wrong spot. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting comparison that, you got 3 guys that giant stars, Hall of Famers, all 3 top 75 players of all time, but all 3 have failed miserably in the playoffs consistently.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any way Golden State doesn't make the finals.
I don't either. Like you said,
I'm thinking it's 5 games, but it could be 4.
Yeah, I could see a sweep
today.
Or a gentleman's sweep. I mean, I think this is the game,
This is the game, and I think Golden State knows it's the game.
Yeah. And I think
Golden State doesn't want to play more than 4 games. I mean, they have more of a killer mentality than the other teams do.
Yeah.
Now, the other series,
2-1.
I don't see going any less than 6.
Well, it's already 2-1 Heat, yeah.
7.
It's, it's a crazy. I mean, they both won on each other's floor. Butler seems like he'll be ready for the next game, it sounds like.
It's a really physical war. I mean, it's a war.
Yeah.
But P.J. Tucker won an Academy Award last night.
He's very good. Very talented.
It was so bad of a call, I couldn't believe they gave the call. I think they gave the call only because he slid 20 feet.
Yeah. Now, this is obviously nowhere near the scale, but, I worked at those basketball camps a few years.
Yeah.
And I avoided it like the plague, but from time to time I would have to officiate. And I do have sympathy on some level because it is incredibly difficult to do. Like, it just, because it's like they said, like, especially because I was doing like, junior high and high school games where I feel like I could have called, my whistle could have never stopped. But I don't feel like I ever gave those kind of fouls. Like, those seem like I didn't bail people out. And maybe that, because it seems like, you're missing calls when you're in the moment. And some of those just seem so obvious. And again, they're like the speed, yada, yada, yada. I get it. I'm not claiming to have ever reffed an NBA game or college game or anything like, but some of those just seem like they're a little bit obvious.
Yeah, I mean, he went from the top of the key all the way to the baseline.
And I know I probably, beat this horse to death, but you know what else the NBA could use? Sky Judge.
Yeah.
Just bring down and be like, nope, no, not foul. And again, not to show anybody up, but again, if the goal of the NBA and Major League Baseball and the NFL is always to get the calls right, then let's get the calls right.
Well, are you going to go Miami or are you going to go Boston?
I think right now I'm leaning, even though they're down 2-1, I am leaning towards Boston. Because Miami seems to be, Boston seems to, again, I don't want to take anything away the Heat, and I always hate these discussions when they go, but like, I feel like Boston is making more personal stupid mistakes with some of the turnovers and play as opposed to, like, it seems like they might be the more talented team. Like, Golden State is clearly the more talented team in the other series. And they have probably the better team. Where I feel like Boston may have more talent, but Miami may technically be the smarter, more savvy team. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But Miami is also really banged up, and like, Boston's younger and healthier.
I mean, they're both banged up. I think that's why I got to favor Golden State against whoever they play.
Plus, I mean, the Golden State team we've seen in the last two series does not seem like the team we saw in the regular season.
Not at all.
Who was still a top 4 seed, so that sounds silly, but they just seem like they've hit the proverbial switch. Where
they've hit the switch. They've got enough comfort level from playing together enough games now. They've been there before. They've got a very good coach, and they're set to win. They got a great roster. And all the pieces fit together very, very nicely.
Yeah. And again, they're missing, Peyton, who was very key to their defense. And they're missing Wiseman, who, they took 1 overall like 3 years ago as the hope to be like, there when we go big, here's our switchable big. And, just.
And you're missing Andre Iguodala, who if they ever make a remake of the last Indiana Jones movie with the Crusades.
Yeah.
He could be the guy in guarding the Holy Grail. I mean, he's been there so long.
Yeah.
Speaking about being there so long, let's talk about. I want to talk about PGA tournament, the PGA Championship, and Tiger. Kudos to Tiger for sticking it out. I mean, it's funny. You're watching him on Friday. It's 91 degrees. He's got a towel. He's mopping himself off after about every shot.
Yeah.
Yesterday it's 58. The wind is howling. It's cold. It's damp, and he's got a fused back, and he's had that massive leg reconstruction. And I mean, he's limping not the 18th hole. He starts limping on the second hole.
Right.
And he limps the whole day. And I mean, I'll give him props for making it through, and I think it was a wise decision for him to withdraw today, not play.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because he's just too beat up. And I mean, it's a great story. I mean, you love the underdog. And Tiger's an underdog. It's a hard story to swallow, but he's an underdog. He's like, I forget what his ranking is. It's not in the top. I think it's not in the top 200. If you can believe that.
Yeah, I can.
But anybody that's spending time in Oklahoma like us know that the weather one day is not an indication of what the weather's going to be the whole time in the tournament.
No.
So they all got to experience that yesterday, and you got a guy from Chile that's never won a major in the league right now. The only question is, can he stand up under the pressure today? Can he stand up under the spotlight? And the number 2 guy, Zerataris, He's never won a major, so you got leaders up at the top, and you got other people within striking distance. So we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting day, but it's been fun to watch.
Yes, I can say I have watched zero golf, but
Yeah. So today we have the Golden State game, and this is a pivotal game. This is game one in Dallas. This is where the other series turned with Phoenix.
exactly.
And so, Dallas will throw everything they possibly have in this game. It'll be a good game to watch. It'll be fun.
It will be. Like we said, though, Dallas, in order to beat Golden State, they need Luka to be Luka, Dinwiddie and Brunson both to be on, and then, Finley and all those other guys to make shots, which, again, they say the role players play better at home.
Yeah.
But Golden State, there's just so many scoring options.
Yeah.
Like, Jordan Poole can,
One of them has an off day. There's still 3 or 4 other guys.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Well, on another note, I'm going to a game 3 today. I'm going to go see the Lightning and the Panthers. The Lightning surprisingly won both games at Florida to start the series off. So they're up 2-0 with their first game at home.
I know.
Which today could be, if they win today, you would expect them to win in 4 or win in 5.
I think they're going to.
And, the Florida Panthers had the best record in the NHL. And I did say before everything started that just won't happen. They won't win. But some real physical series. This Colorado St. Louis series is very physical. The Carolina series is very physical.
The Pittsburgh series was very physical.
I'll be wearing a Lightning shirt, an actual jersey.
Oh, my.
That I went out and got yesterday because I'm that into it.
Which did you get a player, or did you get just a random number with Sutton on the back?
I got a blank back.
Okay.
And I got the original jersey, the 92 jersey. That was, I could have got the outdoor series jersey with Stamkos, which I really liked, and it was white, and it said Bolts on the front.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $230, and the one I bought was $150, so that was the deciding factor.
That's a good
Yeah,
factor.
I like the Lightning. I don't like him. Didn't like him another $80 worth for as much as I'll ever wear it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And then I'm excited about going to see my Los Angeles Angels on Wednesday night versus the Texas Rangers in Anaheim. And I always love going to watch Mike Trout. Now I get to watch Mike Trout, Ohtani, and a couple of those other guys. And Mom and I will probably get there early, watch a little batting practice because Ohtani puts on a good show at batting practice. And it's a great climate just to sit out there and watch a game.
Yeah. Very much so.
And, it's an old cereal bowl. It's one of the old oval stadiums that they just blew out everything between foul poles. But it's still really it's really not a great stadium, but they've done everything you could possibly do it to make it a nice experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of already touched on one of your entertainment moments with the Bosch show.
Yeah. You got any?
I do. This one I'm not sure how much of our audience will care, but I finally gave in and I got Elden Ring, which is a FromSoft game, which are, considered a very difficult game. But this is their first, completely open world game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really addicting. There's nothing on the map. You have to go find all the things. You have to interact with people to find side quests. The game tells you nothing. So you just have to figure everything out on your own. And it's like Skyrim from 10 years ago that's been remade or reissued over and over again, but with really difficult combat. But it does feel it's got that old school, satisfying when you beat a boss. And it's obviously a very good looking game as well.
Okay.
But I did not like the other FromSoft games. They had Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Demon Souls that just never spoke to me, going back to PlayStation 3. But this one, they think it's going to be Game of the Year, and I avoided it. I know Dan is playing it as well, my brother. I don't think he's had as much time to get into it, though. He was not super into it yet either. So, but it hooked me, I got to say.
Okay, good. So we have a gaming and we have a streaming series.
Yeah.
For entertainment moments.
And I told you I have an anti-food moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I haven't had KFC in probably, 7-8 years. Certainly not since I've been in New Orleans. I didn't even know there was one, but we're prepping another TV show out in this area called Chalmette, which has like 4 fast food restaurants and really nothing else. And I ate KFC. I remember the breading on KFC being very flavorful. You know, the claim of the 11 herbs and spices, but I found it to just be really bland chicken. The biscuits aren't great, and the mac and cheese was pretty lame. Not to offend anybody who likes KFC. If you do, that's great. But I was just, I kind of remembered it being better.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been getting a craving to go to KFC and get some tenders.
Maybe I should have got tenders. Yeah. Like I said, I remember the breading being like a very flavorful, savory breading. You know, people like Cartman would eat the skin off the KFC and throw the chicken in the bucket for everybody else to eat on South Park. And, the chicken itself was fine. I mean, it was,
yeah,
cooked and juicy. I just, I remembered having a lot more flavor. I was very disappointed. But I do tend to like a spicier fried chicken myself.
Yeah, I like Popeye's spicy fried chicken.
And I think Popeye's spicy is kind of bland. I like Gus's.
Well, I like Gus's too.
It's weird. I read the reviews because we have a new Gus's that's much more easily available for people down here.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of New Orleans people. New Orleans is secretly not a spicy city. This is a very wussy palate down here for the majority of the people down here. They love mayonnaise and bland chicken. They love mayonnaise.
And cream sauces.
Yeah. They do not like spicy. Because so many of the comments were like, there was a lot of Popeyes loyalty and love because it is a Popeyes city. But a lot of people said Gus's was just, it's too spicy. And I was like, I thought it was coming to New Orleans. I thought this was the home of spice, but it's not.
Gus's is absolutely the best fried chicken I've ever had.
Yeah, I think Gus's is phenomenal. But yeah, people.
I don't think Gus has very strong sides though.
No, their sides are garbage. Listen up, Gus. Yeah, sweet tea is good, and
the chicken.
And the chicken. I mean, I'm a mains kind of guy though. I care so little about the sides that I usually just go with it and I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had mac and cheese there, and I thought, I expected more.
Yeah. Maybe they'll step up their game. Who knows?
No. I don't think I had a food. Yes, I did. I had a food when I was in Phoenix. I went back to Blanco, which is my favorite fajitas in the world.
Uh-huh.
Good carne asada fajitas with a little spicy salsa sauce with it, and outstanding fajitas.
Oh, did we forget to talk about Nick Sabin?
Yes, we didn't talk about Nick and Jimbo.
So for those that didn't see, Nick Sabin has been whining that Texas A&M and the Texas schools are buying their players because he didn't get the number 1 recruiting class, which they are, but that's what NILs are for.
Yeah, they just did it quicker and more completely than anybody else, I would say.
And then Jimbo Fisher
up and wrapped that up really quickly and had everybody had an NIL deal before you could blink.
And then Jimbo Fisher went Patrick Beverly on Nick Saban.
Yes, he did. Some of the terms, I mean, when somebody walks on water, just look a little closer. If you knew, if you saw what was happening behind the mask. I mean, yes, he was brutal. He
was like, when somebody has a God complex and thinks they're God and walks around like they're God, he basically was like, I know where all the bodies are buried.
That's basically what he said. And so, who knows where this is going to go. Nick tried to back off and saying he didn't call out anybody individually, but I thought he did.
He went after Deion Sanders, too, and Deion Sanders came back at him, too.
Yep.
And again, I mean, I don't think anybody that's a college football fan has ever watched college football and seen powerhouses and not thought, probably not as absurd as the blue chip days. Right. But if you, obviously running in the circles we run in the history we've had, like we've been around enough athletes that they've never said outright, but they made it pretty clear, you get a ride to school and all of a sudden, they say open the glove compartment.
Yeah.
Family, all of a sudden the mom that, all of a sudden has a really nice position at the university. There's a giant donation to somebody's school. It's not like this is new. NIL's just put it on the front, on the table, made it legal for everybody to see.
Is now it's legal.
Now it's legal. And, as we talked about before, Miami, USC, Texas A&M, the Texas schools, where you have oil money. those are the schools that are going to be able to pay the most. And maybe traditional powerhouses like, Alabama might struggle a little bit more. I mean, it is what it is.
Then again, the only thing Alabama's go for is there's nothing else.
Yeah.
That's all there is. So, you don't have to diversify your money, your investments. This is it.
No, but
Alabama, you're either Alabama or you're Auburn.
I mean, the story I heard is basically Auburn or Alabama was trying to give everybody between 20 and 25K in NIL deals to come there. And obviously Texas schools can just trump that. But they also talked about, you look at the coach in Miami, he's keeping a lot of those players home now that maybe used to, even in a traditional old school sense. You got a new coach out at USC that's going to keep more players in California. I mean, they just got the best receiver in the country who played for Pitt last year. He just trained.
I guess he waited so long to make his decision so the tampering thing will go away. But there's no question he was approached before he was in the portal.
Of course he
no
was.
Question. And I feel I don't like. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, the system's been bad for players for so long. You're going to just run hard and grab what you can grab.
Now, if I'm college football or college football in general, I don't want to hear anything. Maybe I'm sure there's a contingent of people that, anytime you hear somebody has a God complex, you probably want to see them get taken down. But I'm sure there's another part that's like, we're already dealing with this NIL stuff. The season's approaching. We don't want like a Woodward and Bernstein, somebody digging up all the plays, went to Alabama, trashing that school and hitting the AC. Like, I'm sure you don't want to see that come to the surface.
No.
No matter how much you dislike Nick Sabin. I'm sure that's just it's not good for business for anybody.
Hey, I want to end on a higher note, though, since we're down in the gutter right now. I'll end on a higher note.
Okay.
So I'm reading a book about the making of the film The Godfather. And the name of the book is Take the Gun, Leave the Cannoli.
Okay.
And so it's like you understand filming in the movies and everything. You understand casting. So there's a big war in the casting of that movie. And Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola wanted as many Italian-American actors as they could for authenticity.
Makes sense.
So only those two wanted Al Pacino to play Michael.
Oh, wow.
Because at the time, Al Pacino was a really unknown person. So, and so they had this battle going on, and the studio wanted some name recognition. Can you imagine Robert Redford as Al in the Michael Corleone role?
No.
Robert Redford as the son of an Italian Don?
I think they way overthink. I mean, I understand international film rights and international people like to see people they know on the, if you make a great movie, stars will emerge from the movie.
Yes.
Like I know a lot of stars are second, third generation and they have an entire machine behind them. Sorry to break the fourth wall, but a lot of the people you think are famous or boring as hell, they just got there because of nepotism. But if you put somebody in a good role, they're going to explode. Like, I like Jennifer Lawrence as an actress, but you put her as Katniss Everdeen in a series called from the Mockingjay and the Hunger Games books, she becomes a huge star. You look at Twilight people in a huge role that people were excited to see. Like, it doesn't matter who you put. If you put a talented person in there, they'll emerge as a star.
Yeah.
If it's a good part. Like, you don't have to take mediocre people and put them in stars or put them in roles because you know the name. And nothing against Robert Redford. I think he's a good actor, but yeah, that would have been a terrible casting.
But it's interesting if you read this book. I mean, Marlon Brando wasn't a popular choice because he was really hard to work with and everything else.
Yeah, I was like, he's notoriously.
And to the point one time where James Caan was going to be in the Michael Corleone role, which would have been interesting as well. So it's a very fascinating read and how they made this thing and everything. So I'm enjoying it. I'm about halfway through.
Nice.
And they haven't started filming it, by the way. I'm halfway through and they haven't started filming it. So it should be really interesting.
Indeed.
All right, everybody. Well, enjoy. I'm going to keep following my softball. I really enjoy this time of year with Women's College World Series. There's all the decisions we made today as to who the 16 teams are that go to the Super Regionals, and then the following weekend will be the Women's World Series will start. So 2 weeks from now, And I love the Women's College World Series, one of my favorite sporting events.
Nice. All right, so thank you all for listening. Thanks for our Patreon support, and we'll talk to you next week.